Three, two, the whole 48. Good morning, Pompeii. The whole 48. Yeah, what's good is that the people with the nukes and stuff hopefully are coming out of that thing I explained. Okay. You cannot break the God sent delusion. You cannot break the God sent delusion. And thus becomes the screaming when you're talking again, which is understandable. As you witness profound morbid mental insanity right before your eyes. No one, no one is to blame. Just like they gotta drive. And then that's all they gotta be told is God understands you gotta drive because clearly God understands you gotta drive. But hopefully you understand why you can't get any medical treatment. Hopefully you understand why now you have to pay for things, including your student loans, your medical bills. And if you could mind your own business about people that are destitute not paying for the train. Not, I'm part of the Nazi regime where it's okay for you to get a voucher that covers even your utilities, SNAP food cards, coupons for foods, HIP, the food pantry, clothing donations, because they, just so you know, they also go to the places where we go. And some of them attempt to get more and more things. So, what do you think they're doing with that? Which is not food stamps. That's a different thing. I witnessed it myself where they have to tell them, we already gave you a winter coat, it's one a season, and that we typically service people that live outside. Right. We don't typically service people that are in housing and have incomes and don't really have a reason to be coming here. We service people that are outside, like Holocaust victims, and our ability to service them is limited. What you folks typically do is you go to Savers in the Goodwill and you buy things that were stolen from these people for the fifth time. Just like in Nazi Germany, because this is Nazi America. And when people are even in a shelter who arrived there with absolutely nothing, and other poor people donate to them clothes, you then steal it from them. And part of the way you steal it from them is you cause them to lose their bed. And then what do they do with their stuff? Or you force them out of the hotel, and then what do they do with their stuff? Or you force them out of a house, and what do they do with their stuff? As I said, the news reported to you that a doctor, okay, had to have people come and give them food and water. It's not about stopping the nukes, if you're asking me. Okay, it's really not. It's about finally putting the hostages in housing for the rest of the extermination. Okay. So, are you guys the worldly hostages? Can we agree on that term? Are you hostages in the world? Okay. What about God's chosen people? While they're being kept hostage, why do they have to lay on the ground or sit in a chair 24 hours a day? Why do they have to do that? Okay. The person living here, does anyone know that person's age and how long that person was on a wait list for housing? If it's going to be 2026, that means it's been 18 years since we paid off the banks. Was that person a homeowner? Was that person a homeowner in 2008, 2009, and then had his house stolen? If you have a bachelor's of science in psychology, right, you're qualified to do research in the field, correct? And then prepare to go slowly mad, exactly. She did. I was told that she actually did go into the housing authority's office and saw that it said something about champ. Okay. So clearly these people are not even using champ to put people in housing. I would have to guess that the people in the housing authorities are doing the same thing that Father Bills does. The second that they stopped giving out numbers for a waiting list, then you know that that's what's going on. That's the only reason you don't have a number is they're giving out just they decide themselves. They pick and choose who they're giving housing to. They're not following any type of I don't know if it's a law or whatever that they're supposed to. Someone knows. I mean, you could fathom that those people at Penrose are pissed because if there actually is a halt on certain vouchers, my therapist said, so someone's living in the apartment and you're supposed to pay their electric bill. Okay, or Eversource has two people paying an electric bill. So you could be getting to the point of that type of madness. What was interesting is it said that the cycle ended on 9/11. I thought that was interesting. And then they sent me an email that said, "Welcome to Eversource," like I'm their new CEO. So that's how I'm going to go with it. Okay. And then they actually did what they were told to do. Okay. Because they're supposed to be getting more money printed. So they'll get more money printed. Social Security's already agreed to raise at least some people's incomes for 2026. Okay. And then their heating and electricity will go up. Okay. So, as per usual, if they have a question about why, then they need to ask me. And then I will explain it to them. And then if they want to, they can explain to me about the whole 48. Maybe as a group with the qualifications of a degree in psychology, if we can find out who the culprit is, if we can find out who the big bad people are that are keeping everyone hostage. You may, when I pass on, you may actually have a person who goes on the interviews at CNN about how they're in the Holocaust and they're me, and they have an address that proves that they're me, and they have an electric bill in my name that proves that they're me. I already did that one. Um, if there was a big bad thing going on in Nazi Germany, why were two nuclear weapons deployed in Japan? Hiroshima, Nagasaki. So apparently, there's a big bad problem with the cancer in the UK, which no doubt is a karma for white people. Don't kill the whites, don't kill the whites, don't kill the whites, don't kill the whites, don't kill the whites. The whole 48. I would assume some of them have said that that's a joke. And if you wanted to live, you would free the hostages. So, in terms of the medical care and why anyone should be treating you medically, when if you wanted to live, you would simply free the hostages. Oh, I see. Okay. Let me think. Give 77,000 people housing. No, I think I guess I'll die. Yeah, just something within me. I think I'd rather die than see these people that are laying on the ground have housing. I think I'd rather die. just for some reason that affects my very reality, my happiness. Yeah, I'm sure that my 20-year-old will understand um, why he um, could have had an entire cycle of life and just be infertile and not produce any children, and the extinction would do a natural flow while enjoying all the worldly things. I think that my 20-year-old will understand having to die from cancer at 23 because I can't, the very thought, if I had to get up tomorrow morning and know that 77,000 people are not being tormented to death, I just don't think I can do it. I just would have nothing to live for. I would be miserable every day. Um, I don't know, I might turn to drink again. Um, the world cruise just wouldn't seem really like, why take a world cruise when like anyone can do it? I'm just, why go to the Eiffel Tower when there's one of them there too? I mean, I don't even want to take Carnival now. I mean, why do I want to be on a Carnival cruise when there's homeless people on it? Oh, there's some of them. Oh God, that's just so terrible. It's just terrible what's happening to them. Yeah, I mean, thank God. Yeah, thank God I'm not doing that. And I got my diaper in case I piss myself, and then I'll waddle over here and have my fourth ice cream today. Oh, it's so awful what's happened to her. I remember when she was in shape and used to walk and didn't smoke, and oh God. we're going to, I don't know. I don't know if there will be Moors there that will explain to me about Egypt. Why are you weeping? Robbie's. About her drinks. Michael established a 10. If I could etch in stone the words, the cosmos fill my mind. This is all during the horrors of 2020, by the way, because God knows exactly what he's doing. Like, just mentally, that got me through the horrors of 2020. This is the fire startup. Sound the alarm. I don't even like blonde. 22, 23. First of all, you can't be 23. I like the, what did he say? I like the hair that is dark. 22, 23. 25. 25 star. Boom. I would have to guess, okay, the child took the game piece off the board and stuck it in her mouth. Yes, that's what I would have to guess if they were stones. Oh, there it is. I'm sure they didn't say that when they found it. Oh, there it is. It's the A10. Oh, look, Leiden. Oh, boy. Okay. Raw, lady. Raw BBs. And then at that point, the world would have stopped, and then the Oz would have saved themselves because they didn't burn all that fuel. Or they would say, oh, this is where it came from, sort of like Homer's Odyssey translation. Oh, this is where it came from. Oh, all right. So that guy was just an idiot then. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, look, it's just from this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. I was gonna make my 14th film about it, but you just go, this is it's not even real. It came from this. Look at this. Yeah. Oh, boy. Sounded good, but I mean now that I see that it's yeah, they're just taking it from this. Look. Bobbies. It's not even real. It doesn't even have any meaning. She just came over here. She said it's the clouds in the sky. I can't see that. All this is some prophets like fantasy world. Yeah, they just made the whole thing up, Operation Pillar Cloud. Yeah, he's like using her. He's some sort of friend of hers or something. Now he's up there going the whole 48 and shit. Like, yeah, these people are just. I'm not even gonna listen to it. Yeah, they just keep trying to make up stuff, and then yeah, I don't know. They're just mad because we foreclosed our house. Yeah, they just made it all up. It's not even a thing. It's not even Operation Pillow Cloud. Just oh, okay, yeah, yeah, all right, well, yeah, it's just propaganda. You got to watch out for these people because they're warping our minds with this shit, man. We almost like got rid of our country and stuff over this. This is we got to get rid of these people. In other news, okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that all the immigrants can't leave and all that. Yeah, this is just, yeah. These people expect us to give up our lives, and it's just all a bunch of crap they just made up. Probably gonna try to get him up because nothing's really coming to my mind right now. I suppose that woman that I don't really care for on that show is doing her part to maintain everybody when they said we're still here because these things cannot get a notion in their heads again that there's no actual world. Well, hopefully, since I sort of um, try to keep in mind other people's situation, they would keep in mind mine. It's supposed to be all fun. I know it's horrible, isn't it? There's no fun to be had with the other species. Okay, and I can get into again. I guess it's helpful. I explained to Brian last night again that I don't actually get bored. Um, I have so much internal dialogue with the Almighty that I don't really get bored. I prefer during the Holocaust. I prefer during the Holocaust to be able to do my storytelling and stuff. I really do. And no, you're not getting my story. If you want my story bad enough, you'll put me in housing and then I will publish it on something since I'm not allowed to use Facebook anymore. Um, so, but I prefer if I'm in a Holocaust to be in a thing where I could type and do my stuff I was doing. I mean, someone has a problem with that because they're so insane that I can get up in the morning, do my morning standing, my typing and my talking, lift some weights, take my 9 mile walk, eat my foods, lay down. Okay, that's but Jimmy Kimmel has to have a show. Obviously, obviously. Okay, why are these people still laying on the ground in Cambridge? And that doesn't mean go out there and tell them to move. That's not what that means. Well, for one thing, you have some people, okay, who are kept unawares about what's going on, and maybe they're saving for retirement or something, and then they could actually take a trip with their families and spend time with their families because they're all going to pass away, and you're taking that from them. Well, if you can get to an acceptance until the brain matter is so destroyed that it should control these urges that are based on biological survival in a primate kingdom, like breeding uncontrollably, stealing people's children, trying to rape people's daughters and wives, separating couples, stealing adults and putting them in your treehouse. and trying to wage wars and being like taking on more territory, being in a constant rage, getting into fights with people. The world is still here. The social distancing, I think, is an issue with the refusing to stop keeping hostages and having us lay on the ground. I think that that has to do with the lowest tier of your members. Can't they just be told that's going on, but it's actually not? Couldn't we just be put in housing and then a television tells them there's still people that are homeless on the ground? Perhaps that will happen if all the Social Security gets approved. Okay. The people that are able bodied can do the year round camping. Perhaps that's the hope at this point. Okay. Because we're not allowed to leave what you're calling Massachusetts because they shut our small income off in our food card. So that's the issue. So, in order to prove that you're not just disgustingly depraved, um, you should focus on encouraging that we get Social Security at the minimum. And then perhaps understanding that we're not being given traditional housing where the rent is reduced. So it would make sense how small the disability amount is. That would clean up your streets. Okay. And then after that, you could begin the nonsense about why are these people still choosing to hang out at a library all day, um, do the social services like I mentioned, um, lay on the ground in a city, urinate outside, things like that. Then you could get into that because then you could say that that's some sort of a mental health issue. Okay. And then you could say that those people don't have the forethought to just leave Massachusetts with it being very expensive and do alternative things like purchase a trailer somewhere, rent a trailer somewhere, um, do the year round camping somewhere. That would be the only time where then it's appropriate to stop beginning to do help for people that do actually need that type of help. Because you can't pay rent on $900 a month either. Okay, and I was told that's what the disability is. And because you got rid of the retro, okay, you'd have to imagine how much money I'd be owed since this started in 2011. You'd have to imagine how much money I'd be owed. I could clearly live on that the rest of my life. I would never purchase a house again because of what happens with the houses. I don't feel it's safe. Um, but if you're on somebody else's property and you're renting a lot and you have a trailer, I don't believe those types of things would happen, even with the year round camping. There has to be a payment involved because the animals are so depraved. They would want to know why I'm on a campsite and I'm not paying, okay, because they're depraved and their brain has to make up what they're doing. Like, why are they going around campgrounds looking to see if people are there that aren't paying? That's not sane. The only way that would be sane is if you go, why are they allowed to do that and they haven't told Mary she can do that? That would be a sane thought. Okay, but that becomes a nightmare. But honestly, sometimes I think that nightmare should exist. Okay, just why is this, and that going on, and you still have Mary in this condition? Why? So anyway, like I said, from the very beginning, when it was realized that there was no possible way that this population was part of my kingdom, because they did not Exodus 20. Right? They did not Exodus 20 in 2011. They were not doing what I was doing. None of their speech was like mine, not my species. Okay. So after years long struggle of trying to come to terms with that, it becomes just like it was in Germany, where you have to keep the world system. It's not like they won a battle war to keep the world system. No, it's not that. It's that they have to be euthanized by thermonuclear weapons. That's what it is. There's no other way to have life here. And for the reasons I pointed out, you can see it for yourself. It's been 15 years, okay? So if these people were trapped in a system and they're waiting for Jesus, everywhere you go, you wouldn't see a child under the age of 15. Okay, everywhere you go, you wouldn't see a child under the age of 15, and none of us would be homeless. That would be your hostages here. That would be your hostages here, or you're in my kingdom and your hostages here. Okay, there would have been an understanding about what's going on and what God is doing, and that you're being taken to heaven and you wouldn't produce any more children. And you would do the right things as Christians and make sure there's no homeless people. You haven't gotten to the point yet where you can actually address what you're talking about, mental health with the homeless. You haven't reached that point. I just went through an entire year with it with the court and my social worker therapist. So they know. And that's all reported to your government and the people with the nuclear weapons. Okay, so until we're given a way to live that's not laying on the ground in your city, okay, then, and it's not sitting in a chair in a shelter. And in my opinion, the shelter thing is insane. The shelter thing is insane to keep saying that. Like you actually believe that people should live in a shelter for 10, 20, 30 years. That's insane. Nobody can have a marriage, you can't have children. That's not a life where you live in a bunk in separate rooms and share showers and someone feeds you food. Okay, so that should not even be a thought in your heads at all, regardless of the conditions there. Okay. So things that I honestly don't want to hear, okay, and it may sound insane, but things I honestly don't want to hear, okay, is that somebody has a child and what are you going to do? What you're going to do is you're going to tell those people that they have to live in a shelter. Okay. Were you two people homeless when you became pregnant? Okay. That's when you get situations where people have their children taken, and then you hope that that causes them not to have another one. And it's not. I just was told another story where a person just had children. She's immediately going into housing. So you're still not sane. You're still doing it. Okay. Where were you living when you became pregnant? Okay, well, unfortunately, your child is going to have to be given up for adoption. Not you get housing before me. So at that point, do you have another place to live? Excellent. Okay. You're going to stay with mommy and daddy? Okay, great. See how that goes? Okay. Um, are you a United States citizen? Okay, we have to deport you back to your country. That is what your president already told you. Okay. Because we have US citizens that are laying on the ground, and that's our priority here. Yes, that's our priority here. They don't have another place to go. This is their home country, and they don't have another place to go. Do you have a? Are we welcome in the Bahamas? Because we'll gladly go there. Just put us on a ship, or we'll even pay for it. This is what ultimately happened in Germany, by the way. People had to literally, you might want to look it up, be taken on ships and put somewhere else because the population was that depraved and wouldn't stop what they were doing. How many of those people were actually the original hostages? Probably not many. It's my understanding. You got to look at it and go, if these people all died from typhus, who are these people? Nazis? Probably Nazis who wouldn't stop pretending that they were homeless and stuff, and then they gave them a piece of land and they all said that they were the chosen people, they're the Jews. And then they put a big fence around it, and they were basically criminals that were given a place to live, surrounded by a fence. And then they made up gift shops, and that became a tourist trap where you go to criminals who are depersonalized and tell you that they're Holocaust victims and they survived the Holocaust. See it all the time. Yep, see it all the time here. So, anyways, can we live in the Bahamas? Can we lay on the ground in the Bahamas? They have snap cards there. Why are the passports so expensive? Why aren't we being given passports? Can you get a passport? Like today, you have a credit card because you're a hostage, right? Okay. And you're trapped in the system. Okay. Today, right? Could you go and get a passport? Then I suggest you do so and then get on a plane and get the fuck off my land because otherwise you're not a hostage. It's kind of like this, right? I know it's hard, I know it's difficult to comprehend, especially if you feel that you knew me or you grew up with me, you met me once and you thought all these things about me. When someone is sitting, what is it called? When someone is sitting, I don't think it's called the justice seat, no. When someone is sitting, maybe we'll call it the justice seat. I forget what it's called. When someone's sitting in the justice seat, okay, just know this, that person is right. Okay. Now go build one. Yeah, go build one and have Barack Obama sit in it. Good morning. Okay. If you're indwelled with the Holy Spirit and you have the correct thought because you're not defiled with false doctrines, okay, okay, I know it's difficult, but that would be why it seems like I have an answer to everything. And that's not an argument. So if we could not get confused between the correct thought and having an answer for everything, as opposed to debating, okay, and trying to trap people in nonsense, like a courtroom, okay. If you have a credit card, okay, can you go right down to the post office and order a passport for yourselves? Then you're not hostages, okay. Many people do. Many people do. Some of your celebrities do, where they purchase a property off of my land piece and then they go and live in it. When a person, here's an example, when a person is completely against a monetary system and you refuse to get rid of that monetary system, she's trapped in it. She's a hostage in your world. And then when all she tries to do is take walks, follow a medical diet, rest, okay, and you make sure that she can't keep doing that, okay, you're not a hostage. The second that you began foreclosure on my house after I paid it off, you're criminally insane. There was already a system set up, and the second you got me out of my house, then you started giving out Section 8s to other people, and that has continued for 15 years. I'm not some sort of an alarm bell where you do criminal acts to me and then you make up and pretend that now you've got to protect your members from that happening, and then you still have me the way I am. You're criminally deranged. I'm not a forerunner of what might happen to your people, and then you make all these provisions for them. I paid off the banks, and then you began foreclosure on my house because I wanted a marital divorce. When there was already a system set up, okay, for me to either stay in my house with my children or to sell my house and move into a smaller house with my children or rent a house. And then my ex husband pays child support and alimony for me to live on. Okay, and as you know, because you keep talking about it now, it matters now, but it didn't matter in 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19 because you knew I had minors. So for a period of time, that didn't matter. Right. If at some point he couldn't provide that money, then you have another system so that I don't lose all my children in my house or a place to live. You would have given me a Section 8. because we would have been divorced. He couldn't pay enough money to support a woman and 6 children anymore, and then your government would have to make up for that. I would have been given a Section 8. You were already gone mentally when I got here in 2011. It was never a secret. I told you when I got to the shelter and at Social Security, me here on a one-way ticket, and I had 6 minors being held captive in Florida. You were told that. And for whatever reason, that seems normal to you. Okay. So now you have to pretend, you pretended for a certain period of time that there wasn't an urgency to help single mothers. There wasn't an urgency to help a woman with minors. There was no urgency about domestic violence. It didn't matter if somebody kidnapped somebody. None of your laws mattered. Now you're telling me they matter, and I don't fit any of those criteria. So you're clearly have pretended now, and you're being released of it, as I told you. Okay, you sat on paperwork since 2021. You sat on paperwork after violating the federal government about not evicting me to the street. You forced me out of a house, and you've been sitting on priority paperwork about a no-fault eviction. Okay, and now suddenly people that are already in housing have priority over homeless people because now I'm street homeless because you're profoundly insane. All you have to do is explain how this has happened, and then you're not profoundly insane. You explain it to me. I've spoken with these people, just so you know. Because I don't have a police report within the past 6 months of domestic violence, that no longer matters. But it will matter from that second on for every other person because you're profoundly criminally insane. And now there's no Florida alimony laws. What does that have to do with the years before Ron DeSantis outlawed it? What does that have to do with that? Just like, is it not going to matter that I applied for Social Security in 2012? Why did you get rid of retro checks? You're profoundly criminally insane. All I can fathom, honestly, beyond if you understand that your DNA doesn't contain my species, is that God is trying to get you to understand that you have dementia and you're criminally insane. Like you're constantly trying to invent new policies and laws that cocoon you from not being criminally deranged. You're not criminals. That matters to you that you're not criminals. It could be part of your depersonalization, which is keeping you calm. That's why you're being released of it, because you're not going to stop until I release you from it. Where everyone has to pretend that you're not criminals now. Barbara Kent did it for a while too, where that's why she was kicking me out of her house because I had a special mission that I had to do out at the Sodom. I probably should go back in there and wake him up. You're supposed to have a fear of being damned. Yes, you're supposed to have a fear of being damned. That's a built in mechanism that God put there. But what's happening is you're not actually following law or what God is telling you to do. You just keep making up more things, like just a never ending doctrine that's a profound insanity. Like, why not just do the one thing that would make you not a criminal? Why is the criminal action so important to you? Is it really an admittance of your other criminal activity or you're murderously deranged? Like the brain is getting to a point where you can kill me. Just outright kill me, not the slow killing that you're doing. And take medication and go into specialized housing, live with your families so they can protect you from yourself, like Barbara Kent did. That's why I'm not in a house with her. Because you have dementia. And what happens with some dementia patients is you become dangerous to others. Okay, a man explained how he finally had to put his wife down after she became nonverbal and she started attacking people, including him, and he was her caretaker, so she had to be put down. I would say that a lot of you people's family members keep making up some reason why it's so okay that they keep doing this to me. But if they were actually attacking you, then you would do what you should have done 10 years ago.